I think the e-market is very clever. I think from a writer's perspective, if you're truly involved in the story that you're producing, the e-market is fantastic because it allows your book to be placed in more laps than it would be just in its printed form. And I think anytime you make books accessible to everyone, I think that's an exciting thing.
For as long as we can remember, the paper book industry has been a thriving market. You may even remember from your childhood the various storybooks that you read or were read to. However, with the advances of technology, the future of paper books has been uncertain and quite ambiguous. In fact, portable devices such as the Kobos, Kindle, iPad, and a dozen other devices have been spreading like a wildfire, growing more popular within every minute. Added onto that is how e-readers is consistently becoming cheaper and better. With these factors, it is not very hard to understand why they're so popular. However, with new competitors, consumers have wondered if this could mean the end of paper books and traditional publishers. And it's not a stretch to have such beliefs, as traditional publishers think so too. While ebooks requires no major expenditures, traditional publishers are saddled with the cost of getting dead trees to customers, paper printing, buying, warehousing, and shipping. And they simply cannot set aside these expenses because this particular system accounts for roughly 80% of their business. Even worse for these traditional publishers is the rapid growth and popularity of Amazon's ebook medium, the Kindle. Amazon's domination over the book market can only mean that ebooks as a whole are becoming just as popular, and there is just no way to beat Amazon because of their low prices. In fact, Amazon's Kindle sells ebooks for under half the price of a physical copy, while a hard copy can cost up to 3 times more. Beyond the immediate concern over prices, publishers also worry that the disappearance of the physical bookstore could endanger the entire book business, even Amazon. Researchers have found that consumers don't tend to use online bookstores to discover books. They use them to purchase titles they find out elsewhere, frequently at physical stores. With no stores to browse in, publishers fear bookstores everywhere could take a significant hit. To combat and prevent such a situation, the Big Six publishers, Hachette Book Group, HarperCollins, Macmillan, Penguin House, Random House, and Simon & Schuster worked along with Apple and created a new model in order to keep retailers competitive with Amazon. Under the new agency model, the publisher would have the power to set the price everywhere, while Amazon would normally be paying wholesale for a popular ebook and then selling it for a profit. With the new agency model, they will be losing money instead, as they will be paying more to buy the books and selling it for a lower price than they bought it for. The plan seemed to work, as Amazon had no choice but to concede, as they could no longer afford to compete with the model in place. However, the Department of Justice sued the Big Six and Apple for collusion.
The whole incident is summarized in this following video.
Price fixing of electronic books. The U.S. Department of Justice filed an antitrust lawsuit on Wednesday saying Apple and some big publishers conspired to fix the prices of ebooks. Back in 2010, Apple created the agency model, which allows the publisher, not the retailer, to set the price, with Apple getting a 30% cut. Since the agency model takes price setting out of retailers' hands, critics say booksellers have a hard time discounting the products. Apple's uber-popular iPad is at the center of this heated issue. 5 top publishers were also included in the suit. The lawsuit cites an alleged quote from the late Apple CEO Steve Jobs. CNBC has the details.
Has him basically saying, yes, consumers will pay a little bit more we'll get our 30% cut, but consumers paying a little more, that's what you publishers wanted anyway.
The source of that quote? Jobs biographer Walter Isaacson. The DOJ says consumers have spent millions more as a result of Apple's agency model. Prior to that deal, Amazon ruled the ebook kingdom by buying books at a discount and selling them to consumers for whatever price it wanted. But a Bloomberg analyst says the consumer doesn't lose with Apple's deal.
The Department of Justice is suing on behalf of the consumers, right? Our books are now more expensive. In the long run, my view, it's better for the consumers to probably have more expensive books, keep the publishers in business.
The LA Times calls that argument irrelevant. The Supreme Court ruled long ago that companies can't fix prices just because they're worried they can't survive otherwise. 3 publishers, Simon & Schuster, HarperCollins, and Hachette SA, have already settled with the DOJ, agreeing to end their agency model contracts with big-name retailers like Amazon and Google. As for Apple and the other 2 publishers, the Wall Street Journal's Ashby Jones says the DOJ would not be pursuing this if it weren't sure it had a case.
The government tends to play hardball. They play to win. Apple has chosen to fight. All the best to them. I think both sides could be in for a long, protracted fight here.
With this, Amazon was able to continue on competing with their ebooks. Thus, the inevitable became reality. Major retailers, most notably Barnes & Nobles, were hit and their stocks suffered from the lack of revenue. Anthony DeSalle, an author, explains that this has forced publishers to approach a POD system to keep up with ebooks.
Ebooks have forced publishers now to do something called POD, which is print on demand. And we're going to be seeing that more and more, so that when you order from Chapters or when you order from Amazon, I think there's going to come a time where there isn't going to be a book in a warehouse, but that there's going to be, once you place that order, that book will be produced for you and shipped to your home. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest changes that we're going to see now.
DeSalle also envisions a future where physical print books will be for collection and investment purposes only, and that ebooks are the way to go.
I think from now on, what you are going to see, not now, but in the near future, you're going to see ebooks and e-reading overtaking print books. And in doing so, I think that you're going to relegate print books to something that only bibliophiles would really love. In other words, I think you're going to find that instead of publishing houses producing 5,000 or 10,000 copies of a book, I think they're going to print maybe 500 or 1,000 copies of that book. But they're going to make that book so special. They're going to make it out of hand-made paper and bound in leather, and I think they're going to cost a lot of money, maybe $200 a book. And it really will be for the true collector. And I think that's what's going to happen. And the rest of the books will be electronic.
DeSalle adds onto this point by recalling back to his own experiences.
For example, just recently I went to a book launch for Nino Ricci's Lives of the Saints, 25th anniversary copy, and it was $200 a book. They only made 200 copies of them, and each of them cost $200. But there was original artwork in the book. Everything was hand-bound. They were real collector's items. And so you're going to start seeing people who love books buying them for investment purposes.
However, Jeremy Cranswick, a bookstore retailer, feels that coming into a bookstore and feeling the book is a unique and mystifying experience, something readers won't ever give up.
That kind of experience doesn't happen on Amazon, for example. You can open the book and look at it, but that kind of added dimension is just not there. I must say, as an older person, I'm 59, perhaps I'm a little old-fashioned, but I do feel a lot of other people, not just older people, but younger people, who in some way are aware of this sort of dimension, as you might call the physicality or the human dimension of the book.
When consumers were asked on their opinions regarding the ebook versus print situation, this is what they had to say.
If you're on a beach or something, it's the kind of way you connect with the book, just the whole feel of the book in your hand, where you can fold over the page.
You like something to hold, take with you rather than something electronic. So
I would only buy ebooks for travelling when I need to keep space smaller.
I personally prefer books. I think they're beautiful collector's objects, and I don't much like reading from a screen.
It's 50p. It's like you have pages coming out. It's just a real book. It's the pleasure.
As of the year 2013, the Association of American Publishers reported that US ebooks have broken a 3-digit growth rate than the overall ebook market experienced in 2009 and 2011, and is up 46% and now account for 1/5 of overall book sales in the US. In the case of print books, the Association of American Publishers reported that print book sales have shown a 7% decline. However, many feel that print books are here to stay, and the experience of flipping through pages is an experience that can never be replaced.
I think it's an exciting time for writers, for publishers, for readers. And I think that the cards have been thrown up in the air and we're still waiting to see how they're going to settle. And I think there's something very exciting about that. So I look forward to being part of that discussion in the future.
The end result is simple. Books are getting more popular, and ebooks is just another gateway to access literature.